guys, we're going to do a little artifact hunting. It is that time of year when the gardens have been plowed up and they're getting tilled over and they're getting mounded up and planted, and it just makes for a whole lot of dirt being moved around, and that's when artifacts tend to pop up. If the Lord will cooperate and send me a little bit of rain, that'll help, because it'll wash those old rocks off and I can see the colors. But I have found a few things. I think the star of this video is going to be an artifact. I'm going to call it my favorite artifact find of the year so far. But it's an artifact I truly didn't find. You just have to watch to understand. All right, guys, ain't that a pretty sight? Fresh, new, tilled up dirt. So this is the old garden spot, and first time I've been in it since it got broken up again, and it got a little bit of rain on it, so I thought it was worth looking. Right off the bat, I found a nice chunk of pottery for this field, and this is some real early stuff. You can tell it doesn't have much of a design, but it's cordage marked, cordage stamped. And I believe it's early based on the size of the quartz grit that you see inside the pottery. There you go, there's a good picture of it. That later pottery was quite a bit thinner, and that quartz grit was much finer. There's a piece of the grit poking on the inside wall. So good early piece of pottery. That's pretty cool. There is a piece of stone bowl. Another rim piece. And it was some thick stuff, wasn't it? Very cool. That's probably the fourth or fifth piece that's come out of here. Alright, we do have a little artifact showing. Yeah, it's broke. Of course. But a little base. It's a start. I think I got another little broken one. Yeah. Well, look at the base on that thing. That's kind of unique. Usually a bit more rounded than that. Just missing the tip. All right, guys, we are on board with a complete point, believe it or not. And I think it's one of the best of these little woodland points that I found, as far as having an intact tip, not broke. So that's very cool. That's a nice sharp tip. Got a little rework going on there, you can tell. Very cool. And we may have a twofer, because I just spotted that, and it could just be a flake, but and it is just a flake. Little tater chip. All right, we got one under our belt anyway. That may be a little more a mountain point, and it is. It's a little bit on the uniface side of things. That means kind of flat on one side and rounded on the other. That's not uncommon for them, though. And that would be more of an archaic point, a little bit older. All right, I have moved to the third and final field, which is a much, much larger field. And I've got a first artifact. Only found a couple with the others, but they're very small. They're actually gardens. This is a field. So there we got a, looks like maybe a broken blade of some sort. Got high hopes for this spot. Well, I just darn near made a fool out of myself. Thought I had a great find. Are you kidding me? I thought that was a game stone of some sort, but I picked it up, and that is too light to be stone right there. It's kind of like a plastic. Solid, but it's just too light, too round, I think. I have no idea what that is, but golly, did I thought I had something there. I'll clean it up a little bit later on, maybe. I don't know, maybe that'd be in something like inside of a paint can, or I am not sure what the heck that would be. Be totally honest with you. Well, I'm not gonna pan around a whole lot, but I will tell you this is a large field, very large, and it's on flat ground for the most part. So how do you kind of pick a spot to kind of focus on in a field that's really too big to hunt when you can't hunt all of it? Well, I like to focus on the highest piece of ground in the field. So even just a slight rise. Think about when it rains, water goes to the lowest points, and who wants to sleep in a mud puddle, right? So even just a slight rise is worth checking out. And what I've noticed is, as I've gotten to this rise, the rock changes a little bit. So I'm getting a little bit more of that fire cracked rock showing up, and a little less of the kind of the creek rocks that are in the lower areas. And I'm starting to see some pottery showing up. So all good signs. I just saw something a second ago there. Always check out little things like that. Sometimes those can be game stones, but that's just a little river rock. All right, I'll show you if I find anything else. I don't know. All right, I got my buddy Jackson with me. We're gonna go hunt arrowheads, and we also got, wave Carly. Carly, and you can't see Chloe for the tall grass. And Carly, we don't know what she's gonna do, but she'll do something. We're gonna go hunt for an arrowhead. All right, I am on the board first, and believe it or not, that's a complete point. Little old tiny, what everybody would call a bird head, but a little true arrowhead. Missing a little bit of the ear right there, but that's her. Here is the rim to a bowl, and I always love the rim pieces because they've always got interesting design on it. You can see there they were doing some sort of imprinting there, the outside edge of that rim. Very cool. I love pottery. All right, Jackson's got himself a piece of what?
Pottery.
Did you find some? Let's see. Is it cool?
Yeah.
Does it have any design on it?
Don't look like it to me.
Not on that side. What about, look at there.
Oh, it has lines.
Yeah. Very cool. Some stamped pottery. Good job. And Jax is smoking me all of a sudden here. He's finding all sorts of pottery. He's got a good eye. Did you find another piece? Just a rock. Let's see if this has any. Oh, this has got some good design on it too. Yes, sir. The boy has the eye. Good job, Jax. All right, well, we are done with our little hour-long walk around, and I got a little tiny beat-up old point and some pottery, and Jackson found some pottery and a nice little flake of flint and a possible work something, and a little piece of charcoal he found too. He did pretty good. He stuck with it. You hot? Somebody who didn't stick with it.
I was not looking for anything in the first place. I was walking Chloe.
Excuses are for losers.
Whatever.
Hey,
I found a
Chloe.
bird nest, so I think I did better than you did.
Hey, Chloe. All right. Well, we had fun anyway, and that's what matters. What is it, bud?
Where's my cup go?
Yeah, I don't know where your cup goes. If I find it, I'm drinking it, though.
No.
Yep.
No.
All right, guys, it is time for my favorite artifact of the year that I did not find. All right, so here's how this story goes. My father-in-law likes artifacts, and he always wants to see when he comes over to the house what I found lately. And we got great conversations about these artifacts. And inevitably, as father-in-laws will often do, he will tell me the same story just about every time. The story is of an artifact he found, his first artifact, when he was just a young boy. Out in his yard, a little dirt had been moved, and there was a big, beautiful arrowhead. Now, that story always ends the same way, too. He says, I just don't know whatever happened to that thing. Just so happened that this week, I was at his childhood home. My wife's grandmother, she's in her 90s, and we were over at her house, organizing and just helping her out a little bit. And I don't know if you've been in an older person's house, but boy, when you've lived in a house a long time, it sure does get a lot of stuff in it. And a lot of knickknacks, a lot of shelves and little jars and little bowls that hold all sorts of just everything you can imagine. And in this house filled with all this stuff, it was like I was drawn to one certain bowl. And it was just a little plastic, nondescript bowl set up on a shelf with a bunch of other little bowls and jars. And I walked over to that thing, pulled it off that shelf, and it was full of some junk. And it had some old screws and some paper. But I shook it, and I heard something heavy in it. And guys, you know what it was. Pulled the junk out, and that was laying in the bottom of the bowl. Now, I'm not for sure that this is the arrowhead that he's been talking about all these years, but I have a strong premonition that it is. So, I'm going to drop this arrowhead on my father-in-law, but we're going to have a little fun with it. I'm just going to show him that he needs to see something that I found. Now, I'm really curious if he remembers his first arrowhead, if he recognizes it. Chances are he's probably not going to recognize it right off the bat because I find a lot of arrowheads. He's probably not going to put two and two together, but he might. It'll be fun to see anyway. I'm sure he's going to be happy one way or the other. And we're going to film it. So let's go see if we can track down my father-in-law. All right, so this is my father-in-law, John, and I'm going to get his reaction to this artifact that I found. All right, you ready? I'm going to drop it on you.
Wow. Looks very familiar.
That's yours.
Looks really familiar.
Is that the arrowhead you've been telling me about all these years?
That's the arrowhead I picked up, I believe, when I was a little boy. You found it out in a box, didn't you?
No. I was in the house, and there was a little plastic bowl stuck on a shelf, and I literally just walked to that plastic bowl, picked it up. There was some trash and stuff in it. I shook it, and there was something heavy in the bottom, and it was laying in the bottom. As soon as I saw it, I thought, that's got to be it. So I thought it'd be cool to video, see if you recognized it after all these years.
What did I just say?
Golly, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Yep, that is a dandy. So what was the story behind that? Where did you find that?
The story was my mom and dad were building their house, and I was with my dad when they had finished dozing out the foundation for the house. And I was just a little kid, probably 3 years old.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't even think, I thought you were older than that.
No, I was about 3 years old. And I picked it up and showed it to my dad. He didn't pay much attention to it. And I saved it.
So when would that have been? You were
About 1958.
58. And so you'd seen it around the house growing up. You just hadn't seen it in a long time.
Yes. I thought it was lost.
Really?
I didn't know where it was.
That makes it even better.
I thought maybe somebody threw it away.
That is a pretty arrowhead. Ah, that made my day right there. So there you have it, guys. I cannot believe he remembered that after all these years. That was so rewarding to be able to put that back in his hand. I can't tell you how many times I've heard that story. And man, that's a cool way for it to end, isn't it? All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this one. I hope you enjoyed that old arrowhead return. I don't know how many people have ever got to do an arrowhead return, but that's pretty darn fun. We'll see you soon.